Hello, and welcome to the webinar, Intelligent Service Management for Greater Efficiency, Mastering ITSM for Business Success. My name is Eric Wallace with Argyle, and it's great to have everyone joining us today. I have a few administrative details to share with you, then I'll turn things over to our panel. First, we would like to thank Freshworks for their partnership with today's event. They've been wonderful partners to Argyle, and they're committed to providing you with valuable content and a great overall experience. Thank you again to Freshworks. We appreciate you joining us today. We welcome you to stay connected during today's event. For those of you who are active tweeters, please follow us on Twitter at Argyle Exec Forum, and be sure to follow Argyle on LinkedIn for special announcements. I also wanted to take a minute to touch on our content neutrality policy, which we've curated based on the feedback we've received over the years from our members. We have worked closely with our speaking faculty to ensure that you receive a set of balanced and neutral viewpoints during the session today, and we appreciate our members' support of this policy. Finally, and most importantly, we want to hear from you, so please submit all questions that come up during today's event into the chat section of the interface. Following the discussion, we've set aside time for our speakers to weigh in on your questions. Without further delay, let's begin our presentation. Mukesh, can you please introduce yourself first?
Yeah, thank you, Eric. It's such a pleasure to be here. And to everybody in our audience, a very good morning, good afternoon, depending where you're joining from. I'm Mukesh, and I am the Senior Vice President of Global Solution Engineering here at Freshworks. And it's a pleasure to be speaking to all of you.
Great, thank you. Chandra, can we please continue introductions with you?
Hello, everyone. I'm Chandra. I'm Senior Business Development Manager for AWS Service Management, and I'll help customers and their partners to enable integrations between ITSM platforms and AWS services.
Thank you and welcome. Kevin, can we conclude introductions with you, please?
Sure. Hi. Yeah, my name is Kevin Williams. I'm the IT manager here at Grafana, and I work with our internal team to service our internal users, and Freshservice is a big part of that on a day-to-day basis. And I thank you for having me and looking forward to having this discussion.
I'd like to turn the floor over to Mukesh. Mukesh, over to you, please.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you, Eric. What we'll do is we'll start the discussion with a couple of slides about Freshworks, because first of all, there's a lot of really interesting things that Freshworks is doing, but also there is a number of really cool innovations that we're driving in the ITSM space. But a little bit about Freshworks before we get going. We think of ourselves still as a startup, although we are definitely publicly held at this point. We had a IPO event in September of 2021. But as a company, we're about 14 years old at this point. As of last year, our annual revenue was close to $500 million, and we were experiencing 37% year-over-year growth. And the cool part is that we've got over 65,000 customers. So a lot of things that we're going to share with you today are actually learnings from our customer base, and we're excited to share those with you. We've got a number of recognition and kudos from a number of institutions like Gartner, and obviously we're very proud of that, but it's our customers that we are really proud of. So this is a little bit about Freshworks so that you're familiar with what we do. On the next slide, I would love to tell you a little bit about our product portfolio. So number one, we are focused on customer experience. This is our absolute bread and butter, and this is how the company started. We started by creating solutions that were meant to delight your customers. Along the way, we realized that what it took to delight customers was very similar to what it took to delight employees. And so we've also got some products around that. But our flagship products are Freshdesk, Freshsales, and Freshmarketer, which we basically call our customer experience products. And then on the employee experience side, we've got products such as Freshservice, which is focused on ITSM. Now, the cool thing is that we think that conversational engagement is the way to go, which is why we've got Freshchat, which is our messaging and bots product that kind of transcends across our entire portfolio. All of this is driven by a really cool platform called Neo, which is also the name of our CEO's dog. A little fun anecdote for you, for all the dog lovers on the audience. Our CEO's dog is called Neo, and therefore our platform is called Neo, and it's cute and cuddly, if you know what I mean. And this is basically how we bring delight to your customers and your employees. I'll quickly jump over to the next slide, Shreya, if you don't mind. And I'd love to ask Chandra actually to talk about AWS a little bit.
Thank you, Mukesh, for walking us through the Freshworks products. And then let's talk about AWS, one of the leading cloud providers. And we've been working with more than 1 million customers for the last 17 years. And we have more than 300 plus services, 200 plus service offerings. So from an operational excellence standpoint, we are one of the leading cloud. So similarly, over the past 17 years, we've built a large partner network across 150 countries, where we now crossed 100,000 partners. And I'm proud to say I'm part of the AWS partner team, where we help ISVs and partners to enable integrations between AWS services and other platforms.
And Kevin, tell us a little bit about Grafana.
Sure. Yeah. Grafana is awesome, not just because I work here, but really love the product. Really love that it's open source. It's beloved by many folks from NASA to a tinkerer in their home basement lab. So a lot of use cases there. It's very extensible with different enterprise plugins. You can get a lot of fine-grained data using the logging system and the metric system, and you can build out very custom dashboards to take a look at your infrastructure and anything else that you'd like to take a look at across your environment. We've actually built a dashboard that just connects into all our different vendors and shows our license status and things like that. So it's very flexible. And yeah, it's just a really cool platform. If you ever want to reach out and try it, we have a really nice full-featured cloud version that you can try for free. So actually, not even just try, you can just use it for free. So very cool platform.
That's awesome. That's awesome, Kevin. Two things you said that I love. You said you call your employer fun, which is rare these days, and you said the words free, which is awesome. So
yes,
well done, well done. Okay, well, listen, for our audience, we've got quite a healthy audience today, and we kind of want to transcend into some of the top challenges that IT leaders are facing today, and sort of start with our thought leadership section a little bit. And this is not just stuff that I'm saying or Kevin is saying or Chandra is saying. This is the top CIOs across various industries are basically saying this. And if you skip over to the next slide, please, Shreya, you'll see that there are three key challenges that IT leaders are grappling with. And you know, we've got two fantastic IT leaders on the panel with us today, but and they're going to talk about this a little bit. But I think the number one thing that IT leaders are struggling with today is improving agent productivity. And you know, the last 3 years have been a very strange time for so many of us, right? We were in the offices, and then COVID happened, and then we went completely remote, and now we are in this sort of this hybrid kind of world where IT leaders now have to provide IT help desk services to employees that are in the office, while they also have to provide IT services to employees that might be remote. And this type of a hybrid workplace has a very, very interesting effect on agent productivity, right? As you would imagine. So that's one. Number two is employee delight. Our employees are more aware than ever before. They have higher expectations than ever before. And so delighting an employee is hard. Like, you know, I've been spending some time with my team recently, and I've been hearing to all their gripes. And you can imagine delighting employees is a tough job these days. And so that's the second bucket that we'll talk about. And third, a lot of CIOs tell me that choosing the right tool is really hard because there's all kinds of information in the market. You can buy big, unwieldy platforms that are very hard to administer, or you can go buy immature platforms that won't serve your needs. So we'll talk about these three things, which I think are going to be very interesting to our audience. So first up, agent productivity. And I want to go to you, Chandra. And I know that you've done a bunch of work around this, and agent experience. I mean, I can't think of a better company than Amazon to talk about amazing seamless experiences.
Yeah.
So tell us, what do you think about improving agent experience?
Yeah, I think in the last 3-4 years, I've been talking to a lot of our AWS customers, especially in the financial services sector, like how they struggle in managing their externally facing services and how their agents scramble to bring operational efficiency. So think about a scenario where an authorization system for a financial services bank goes down, and an agent has to scrap through a lot of things and understand, hey, whom I have to reach out? What's the SOP that is in place? What's the priority matrix for this? Is it impacting a customer SLA? So these are the type of things that customers have talked to us, how we can bring operational resiliency, especially in where our customers are facing their customers. So that's where we have come up with an approach where automation can come and play into scenarios, and then where there's already policies or SOPs that are already placed in place, where agent can look into it and immediately can execute an automation, or immediately spin up a SWAT team or talk to an engineering team. At the same time, these automations bring up the information about the SLA, which will be shown to the external customer. So yeah, this is something that I've been focusing in my development side as well, like where we can bring that gap down, especially from AWS services standpoint, when many of our customers move to AWS cloud.
Okay, so this is something that Chandra talked about, where he was talking about process and how having clunky manual processes can have a very, very negative impact on how your agents are performing. And in the research that we've done over the last few years, we find that 82% of agents are negatively impacted by manual processes. And so the way industry thought leaders are thinking about, Shreya, if you go to the next slide, please. The way industry leaders are thinking about this is they're saying, hey, let's use automations to take the manual steps out of the process as much as we can, so that agents today can focus on high value work. This is becoming the mantra in our industry, where agents perform high value work, and then you take your level 0 solvable problems and you use powerful automations. So for the audience, I encourage you to think about automation as a way in which you can enhance your agent productivity, thereby making your agents a lot more effective. So again, I really hope that there's no further Wi-Fi choppiness on my side, but Shreya, I'd love for you to go to the second slide, please. Second bucket, please, which is enhancing employee experience. And Kevin, I know that Grafana has done a bunch of work around this. You guys have done some really cool innovations around employee experience. Talk to us about what you've done.
Sure. Yeah, and it's a shame because we had the pre-call and everything was fine, right? And then right when you start talking, you cut out. You were there for a while. Everything was fine. But anyway, yeah. A lot of what we do, especially you mentioned making employees happy with a product. And I would say IT employees are even more in the narrow part of that, where it's even more difficult. And I would say that, yeah, I mean, our team is very happy with Freshservice. It does a lot of things that we need, and there always seems to be a way to do the things that we wanted to do, with the extensibility in the app marketplace and things like that. A lot of what we want to do to make that experience better for the agents is automations, canned responses, how to make their life easier, how to make them have to do less things manually, which a lot of those things are built into the application. As long as you make use of them, you have to take that effort up front, but it pays out dividends over time. And then secondly is the end user experience, which Freshservice is really great at as well. The service catalog is really great, easy to navigate. It's really easy to set up SLAs and things like that to make sure we're servicing folks in the proper timeframes that we're aiming to. Those communications that the system will automatically send out are reliable. So when someone creates a ticket or has an issue, it'll send them a notification right away to let them know that they have the issue in our system and we're looking at it. All the various things, the workflows, the automation with the workflows is great. Again, more productivity, less manual effort on the team. So overall, just trying to take a look at your workload as a whole and seeing what you have there. You can find the things in Freshservice to try to whittle down things here and there to make everyone's lives a lot easier and to make that experience for the agents and the customers really great.
I love what you said, man. I love what you said. I think there is enhancing employee experience is no longer a science; it's an art. And I think I have a fairly large team. Actually, I'm in Chennai, India for the week, and so I've been spending a lot of time with my team here in India. And this is the number one ask that they have is make our experiences better. Give us consumer grade technology in the workplace. And Shreya, if you go to the next slide, if you don't mind, the number one thing that we have to recognize with employee experience is that if you compare your workforce today to your workforce 10 years ago, your workforce today is predominantly digital natives. And in the next decade, that's going to become even more pronounced. And so your employees expect easy to use technology. They don't want clunky tools. They don't want unwieldy tools. They want cool stuff. They want to be able to message you. They want to be able to message your IT organization, and your IT organization messages them back just like they message with their friends. They want to message with IT. And so, Shreya, if you go to the next slide, this is where I think employee satisfaction is extremely important, and usage of virtual agents is on the rise. I'm sure you, on the audience, I'm sure that the last time you wanted to hear music, you asked Alexa to play music for you, right? And that's the power of virtual agents, right? And this is not a plug for our friend from AWS, right? It is true. You know, we love virtual agents because they do the work for us, right? And so we actually at Freshworks, we think that organizations that deploy virtual agents and bots actually end up solving a lot of customer employee problems very seamlessly. And so our research says that 59% ticket deflection is actually possible in IT organizations. So with that, I kind of want to wrap up these three buckets. These were three buckets that we were focused on. And I want to sort of like talk to you a little bit about the most important thing, because I know that a number of you might be looking at IT solutions. You may be unsure of what you need from an IT platform. And so I want to tell you a little bit about one of the key things, one of the central tenets you want to look for is an extensible platform. Something that's simple enough that can serve your needs today if you are a low complexity, low maturity IT organization. But you also want a platform that can grow with you, that can have advanced automations and virtual agents and things like that, that actually can grow with your growing needs. And so Shreya, if you skip over to the next slide, please. I think I showed you in the slide at the beginning, we've got 65,000 customers that are across SMB, mid-market, and enterprise. And the number one thing that our customers tell us when we are working with them, when we are replacing incumbent solutions, they tell us they wish they had bought the right-sized IT solution for themselves. What I mean by that is that just because a certain IT solution might position itself as a platform, and just because it has all the bells and whistles doesn't mean it's the right thing for you. You have to make decisions based on your maturity as an IT organization, and therefore choose the right sized IT tool that can grow with your needs. And so this is where I think I am a big fan of Freshservice. Obviously, Freshworks pays my bills, but there are hundreds and thousands of Freshservice customers that tell us that the product that they've purchased from us is the right size solution for their needs, and it is able to grow with their needs. So let's put a bow on this, because these are the three buckets: employee experience, agent experience, and right sized IT solution. These are the three buckets that we wanted to talk to you about and sort of give you a little bit more information about. Eric, I think I'm going to hand it over to you at this point, and I think you're going to walk us through a few Q&A, right?
Yes, definitely. So our first question is for you, Mukesh, and that is, how are AI and intelligent automation specifically transforming IT management processes within organizations?
Thank you, Eric. I didn't realize the first question was for me. That's funny, because I now get to keep talking. How boring. But you know, I wish we were doing this live, and I wish I could ask our audience, are you sick and tired about hearing about generative AI? And are you sick and tired about all the ChatGPT use cases yet? Because, and I'm being facetious, I think it's a very exciting time. And I think generative AI is changing the way work will get done in the future. And so I want to show you a couple of things that I think will be really cool, that will tickle your imagination. One of the things that Freshworks is really focused on is humanizing experiences with generative AI. And you might wonder, wait a minute, artificial intelligence and humanizing experience, how does that go hand in hand? And so we're doing some really cool things. We're actually doing multi-turn conversations using OpenAI capabilities. We are doing really cool multilingual things, multilingual conversations across different geographies. And we're also thinking about actionable summaries. So I actually want to show you a couple of GIFs just to have fun with this, and just sort of spark your imagination a little bit. Shreya, if you go to the next slide, please. I'm gonna focus on the employee experience, which is helping your employees, but we're also focused on what's called Freddy Copilot, which is a copilot for our agents. And essentially, we've introduced some really cool pieces of technology that allows your agents to do their job better and in a more automated fashion, and therefore frees up a lot of time for high value work. So instead of like reading through slides, let me actually show you a visual, if you don't mind. Shreya, if you go to the next slide, I want to show you a visual, and hopefully the GIF works. What you're seeing on the screen is an agent experience. What the agent did was the agent took a ticket that had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of back and forth, because sometimes IT tickets are very complicated, right? And what the agent was able to do was click a button that says summarize. The Freddy Copilot basically summarizes the entire ticket conversation. It generates a summary using the Open AI APIs, and then it automatically attaches the ticket summary if there is another agent that's going to work on this ticket. So you can imagine the power of this. I'm the agent that's picking up this ticket. I no longer have to read through 14 different threads. I can just read the summary and I can go about resolving this ticket, right? Simple things, but extremely powerful things, right? The purpose of artificial intelligence is not to replace human beings. The purpose of artificial intelligence is to augment human productivity, and that's what we're trying to do. I'll show you one more example, and let's have fun with this. Shreya, if you go to the next slide, please. Here is a smart reply. So you all have hundreds and hundreds of knowledge articles. A lot of those knowledge articles are oftentimes useless because they're long and they are big and they are unwieldy, right? What if you have the ability to have OpenAI capabilities that grab the right data from the knowledge article, summarized it into a smart reply, and stick it into the ticket and send it over to your employees that's raised the ticket, right? You've now taken a 2-page long knowledge article, you've turned it into a 4-line smart reply, and you've resolved the ticket much more faster. This is just a representation of some of the cool things that Freshworks is doing with OpenAI, particularly with some of the generative AI capabilities. So Eric, I hope that that was sort of a good response to your question. I think that AI is here to stay, and I think IT organizations are actually, for internal employee use cases, are most likely to adopt AI first. So, and you know, IT organizations have always been the kind of organizations to experiment with technology, and I think they're going to be early adopters of stuff like this.
Great, thank you. Can we have the next slide, please? This next question is for Kevin, and that is, what steps can decision makers take to ensure a smooth and streamlined ITSM implementation?
Sure. Yeah, I'm actually really excited about the OpenAI stuff that I just saw, by the way, so I can't wait for that. I would say, you know, you really want to, I'm sure this is common now with IT teams, but you really want to treat your internal customers as customers. So you want to build it as if it's a product that you were going to release, and you expect a certain customer service level to be achieved and customer happiness. So you want to try to work on a way to take a look at your whole picture, make sure you're not dropping any work. You want to funnel it all in one place. And then you want to do a lot of testing. You want to do communications, make sure that everyone's aware who is going to be using the system, that the system is going to be put in place, how they can access the system, what they can expect, how it changes from the system they were using previously, what are the benefits of the new system. So you really want to try to get folks to be onboarded into the idea so that they're paying attention and they're interested and they want to be using the new system because it's going to benefit them in some way, which is why it would be important to them. And then once you have that in place, I would say you want to get a good solid beta testing group of end users and pull them into it, use it in that way for a little while with a small group, go back and forth, let the agents use the system, figure out what's working, what's not working, make sure you're capturing all of your work into one place and things aren't being lost, and there's some issues with your customers not knowing what's going on with an issue. Is it being looked at? What's the status of it? Same thing with your agents, making sure they understand the system, make sure there's training there, make sure they can completely end-to-end know how to use the system to work with the end users, and they can get all the details that they need out of it to answer their questions that they have on a day-to-day basis.
Great, thank you, Kevin. Can we have the next slide, please? This next question is for Chandra, and it is, how can organizations effectively measure the impact and the ROI of their ITSM initiatives?
Thanks. I think this is a great question. So let me share my experience with a few of the implementations that happen with AWS, like when talking to the customers, right? So important aspect of it is the cloud management and governance. Let's say when especially while migrating their workloads to AWS. So you could see large enterprises normally, or any enterprise may have multiple AWS accounts, and there is no governance. They come on to AWS, they spin up something, and then the cost increases. Think about this when there is an ITSM platform where everything can be controlled. So now you have a managed service catalog, and then with the help of service catalog, you have your approvals, you have your workflow that controls this, and then says that, hey, the cloud architect has to approve this EC2, or you can go ahead and submit an EC2 Gravity instance because you now have the access to AWS account. You can avoid all of that with your IT service management platform. Think about the scenario where you can control that. At the same time, you could also think about the operational efficiency, right? You probably heard of a lot of AWS observability tools, like Systems Manager or AWS CloudWatch. So all of these tools can actually effectively send back into your IT service management platform. In this case, like Freshworks, where your agents can actually look into it and then execute some automation where they don't have to wait multiple days talking to multiple teams and say that, hey, I need to restart this, which is going to impact a particular application. So that's one other thing. So the third part is compliance and auditing. With your ITSM tool in place, and if you have a proper processes that were put in place for incident management, change management, especially during the audits that like FFIC audit comes and says, hey, give us all the, priority one incidents or the priority two incidents that happened in your org, and we want to see how is your processes fitting into it, right? So with appropriate ITSM, your enterprise would be effectively able to manage all of these things that I just mentioned, or the use cases that I just mentioned. So that's one, you have a cost saving. Two, you have like operational efficiency, and then your auditing and compliance is also sorted out. These are the top three things that customers have talked to me while at AWS, especially when implementing or migrating to cloud.
Okay, thank you. Can we have the next slide, please? Thank you, panel, for that excellent discussion. And just as a reminder, audience members can enter questions. And now we're going to take some of the questions that we've come in from the audience during the discussion. The first of which is for Mukesh, and that is, what unique capabilities does Freshservice offer that set it apart in the market?
I think, I think the capabilities that you would expect from an ITSM platform are fairly standard, right? You would expect really good service catalog capabilities. You would expect really good incident management capabilities. You would expect an ITIL aligned platform that does good incident change, problem management, right? And all of those things Freshservice does really well. But I think what is really, really cool about Freshservice is our user experience. It sounds like a bit of a brag, but I would say that Freshservice probably has the best-in-class agent experience right now on the market. Our users, our customers say this to us all the time, that agents actually enjoy working in Freshservice. They find the agent experience to be very intuitive. They can find the information that they're looking for in a very quick amount of time, right? That's number one. Number two, we are a solution, or we are a platform that we describe as the right-sized IT platform. And I've used these words a couple of times now, because you probably, for those of you that are aware of the market, there are some solutions in the market that are very heavy, they're very bloated, and they can probably do everything, but do you really need everything, right? That's the question you got to ask yourself. And sometimes having the right size platform means that your software bloat is limited. You don't need expensive consultants to implement that software for you. You are able to deploy Freshservice in a very quick amount of time, and then you are able to self-administer it very effectively. If you don't believe me, ask Kevin. And I bet you Kevin self-administers Freshservice. They never have any external consultants that they're paying millions of dollars to for their administration, right? And we think that that's an extremely powerful position in the market. Third thing I will say, we have industry-leading TCO and ROI. We believe that you shouldn't have to spend millions of dollars on an ITSM solution. We think that you should be able to take an ITSM solution and turn it on in 2 months or 12 weeks at the most, right? You shouldn't have to spend months and months and months implementing an ITSM solution. And so I think these are the 2 or 3 things that really set us apart from every other vendor in the market.
Thank you. The next question is for Chandra, and that is, what role does ITSM play in supporting digital transformation initiatives within organizations?
Yeah, as I said earlier, I think, especially the management and governance aspect, where, you'll be able to have a major incident management when you have external facing clients for financial services, for example, any of the large banks, so where you're tied up to an SLA. And then all of those SLAs can, bring back to your services, and then the operational efficiency that can be attained through having proper processes in place. So that's the key aspect of it. And then the second part would be to, how, like Mukesh was talking about, the agent experience, right? Like not just your customers, but also the agent should have a higher capability where they can, resolve their incidents faster or have their, service catalog in a more accurate fashion. So these are the type of capabilities that are required, especially while moving into digital. And think about a scenario where, you talk to Alexa and then say, hey, Alexa, can you generate an application or spin up an application in AWS, and then that goes through an approval through Freshworks and Freshservice, and then immediately gets launched. And it also sends insight back into your Freshworks if there is an issue.
Great, thank you. Our next question is for Kevin, and that is, have you been able to customize and adapt Freshservice to meet your organization's specific requirements?
Yes, yeah. So as was mentioned before, it is a right-sized product. So you can start very basic, and then you kind of see as you're using it, like, oh, it'd be great if I could do this, or it'd be great if I could do that. And so far along the way, everything we've wanted to do, it has been able to do, from basic just email to ticket intake to saying, okay, well, we have a lot of requests in Slack too. How can we get the Slack stuff into our ticket queue? To being able to use Freddy to do that, and just be able to easily say, hey, whenever there's a message here, we can easily just drop down, shoot it over to the ticket queue, and also, surface service catalog items and things like that, which has been great. To using the marketplace and pulling in data from other systems and tying that into our workflow and making sure that we're kind of seeing more things in one place. It's just really great. I really, that's one thing I really love about Freshservice is you start super small, phase 1, and then you can just bolt things on top of it as you go, as you see your needs growing, and as you want to create more value for your end users and the agents, you can bolt that stuff on as you go. And so far, everything we've wanted to do has been there. So it's been great. And I see things like what we just showed with the OpenAI. I see more things coming up and that are also available that I want to add as well. So it definitely can grow with you. And we've definitely seen that at Grafana.
Great, thank you. Our next question is, we are struggling with getting started with increasing the automation of our IT management. We have the easy tasks automated, but we are having trouble leveling up. Do you have any advice for us? To take the first swing at that.
Yeah, I love that question. Yeah, I love that question. Oh, sorry.
Oh no, I was just.
You're probably.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll go. Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt. I was just going to say, maybe at this point, you should dive into working with APIs and things like that the applications offer you to perform automation. So on our team, we found one of the benefits of Freshservice is that they allow you in their workflows to not only talk to the systems that they support, but they also say, hey, if you want to talk to something else, go reach out and talk to their API and we'll facilitate that for you. And you can go and automate things that you couldn't do inside the box. So that's a big benefit, and not a lot of other products will allow you to do that. We have one person dedicated on our team who's great, who does all that dev work and things like that. So maybe just trying to branch off a little bit and say, okay, well, how can I leverage Freshservice, but also kind of use the public available APIs and things like that from these various different systems to take care of things that we want to take care of.
Yeah, Kevin, Eric, if you don't mind, I'm gonna add on to what Kevin said, because there's a couple of spoilers that I want to share with our audience. Um, we're actually working on some really cool new stuff where we are launching a new module within Freshservice called Freddy Insights, and Freddy is our AI, basically our AI platform, right? And Freddy Insights is going to basically dig out the 3 or 5 or 10 most common scenarios that you're getting tickets for. And so imagine you've got hundreds and thousands of tickets over the last 12 months. Freddy Insights is going to say, here are the 3 most common scenarios that you've got tickets on. And out of these 3 scenarios, I actually recommend, Freddy's going to say this to you, I actually recommend you build an automation rule around this one scenario. And then in a conversational model, you can then engage with Freddy to automatically build out the necessary plugs for that automation. And so I know as I'm speaking verbally, it's perhaps hard to visualize, but imagine Freddy Insight tells you what you should automate, and Freddy Copilot automates that for you. And that's a dream come true for every IT professional, and that's the direction in which we're heading. Is if you've got basic automation, Freddy Insights and Freddy Copilot will help you take your automations to the next level. So again, I use words, right? And it's really hard to visualize. Reach out to us if you want to see a demo of this. Someone from my team can show you what this actually looks like. And it's a very, very exciting future for IT organizations.
Great, thank you. Our next question is, what's the biggest mistake you've seen companies make in trying to add AI to their IT management, and how did they get past it? Anyone want to take the first shot at this one?
I mean, look, AI has existed for a while, no? Like we've been talking about AI for a decade now, and it's only in the last 6 months that ChatGPT caught everybody's attention and AI became a dining table conversation, right? Before that, AI was for labs and for research facilities, and now everybody on the dining table is talking about how they use ChatGPT to generate their homework essay for them, right? But I think it's easy to get carried away by the hype, and I'm not raining down on the AI parade. I'm not saying that we should not be true believers, but I think a measured approach to AI is perhaps the best. And think about some common things that can be automated with bots, and think about how you can take the large language models and how you can do some fun things with it, like create knowledge base articles, like create bot flows, right? If you try to boil the ocean with AI, you will perhaps overwhelm yourself with all the different cases that you can do. So the approach that Freshworks is taking for our customers is we're going to give you bite-sized AI that's going to be contextual. It's going to be embedded within Freshservice, and it's going to allow you to do tasks within Freshservice much faster. Contextual AI, in my opinion, Eric, is the right way to proceed with AI. Because what it does is then it removes a lot of the manual tasks from your day-to-day, and it helps your agents be far more productive. I don't know, Kevin and Chandra, if you agree or not. It'll be fun if we disagree, but I'm very measured when customers go down the AI path.
Yeah, actually, I would want to add more. IT management is not just like incident management or change management where AI can play a role, right? There's also asset management, CMDB management, which, imagine where you have to bring in 1 million assets, either from your data centers or you could using the multi-hybrid cloud. So these scenarios are the large-scale scenarios where a lot of enterprises face challenge with having a consistent, coherent CMDB IT asset model is very, very important to empower all of this. So that's where you have to choose wisely while making that aspect of bringing AI into place. You cannot have on an immediate aspect AI doing all of the data across 70 different sources, bringing that back into your ITSM, and then see how effectively it is being maintained, right? So yeah, just want to add a few more points to it.
Yeah. Yeah, Chandra is absolutely right. There are so many aspects. IT asset management we haven't talked about. SaaS application management is another hot topic, right? I mean, so many SaaS applications are underutilized these days. IT operations management is another hot topic for large enterprises. So there is so much to unpack, and I don't think we can do justice in a 60-minute session. But Chandra is absolutely right. It is beyond incident management, right? It's beyond that.
Does Freshworks rely on its own CMDB schema, or can it work with any?
Ooh, lovely. I love that we are talking about CMDB. So Freshworks does have a native CMDB, and the way we encourage our customers to think about asset management is we ask them to think in two ways. One is basic asset management, and the second one is advanced asset management. But what we are able to do is we are able to, if you are looking for basic asset management, we have an inbuilt schema. And of course, you can extend that inbuilt schema with custom attributes that you can then populate your CIs with, right? So that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is that if you have a more robust asset discovery solution that you already love and like, we are happy if you want to keep it. And what we'll do is we'll pull in the assets from that solution, we'll stick it in our CMDB, and we will allow you to work very closely with your existing asset management solution. We also have a world-class integration with the solution that we consider to be a leading provider called Device42. And if you want capabilities such as automatic relationship mapping, we are able to do that using that partnership. So there's a variety of different options in which you can proceed when it comes to CMDB and asset management. Which is why I keep saying we're right size. If you've got simple needs, we've got a simple solution. If you've got advanced needs, we've got an advanced solution.
Great. Thank you for sharing your expertise for these audience questions. Mukesh, over back to you, please.
Okay, I guess we're starting to wrap up, and it's been a fast and furious 45 minutes. So I'm very grateful to Chandra and Kevin for the conversation. I want to leave you with a few thoughts. This is about Freshservice, and if there's one thing that you should take away from this presentation, it's that Freshservice is a right-sized solution, and right-sized means it can meet your basic needs, it can meet your advanced needs. But most importantly, it's a very intuitive solution. It is what you would call a consumer-grade solution that not only focuses on experience, but also on employee experience. We focus a lot on intelligence with automation and bots, like we talked about. Freshservice is extensible, so you can extend the schema, you can bring in third-party applications, you can integrate with applications like PagerDuty and Automox and all the other cool things that you might already have. And one of the cool things that you will appreciate about Freshworks is that we have a very, very deep partnership model with you, which means that we will focus on your success. We'll make sure that you've got the right level of adoption, and we'll make sure that you're getting value out of your ITSM solution. So that's a little bit about Freshservice, and I think we've got a little QR code on the next slide, which if you want to know more about Freshservice on the AWS Marketplace, because we are also on the AWS Marketplace. So a little plug for that marketplace, because I think that's a very, very rich ecosystem of applications on that marketplace. But if you scan that QR code, you'll find a lot more information about Freshservice. So Eric, that's, I think, our last slide, if I'm not mistaken. But back to you to take us home, man.
Great, thanks. Thank you, Mukesh, Chandra, and Kevin for this insightful session. This concludes today's webinar, and I want to thank everyone in the audience for joining us for this fantastic virtual event. And thank you again to our partner, Freshworks, and enjoy the rest of your day.